Hey guys, Aaron here, and you'll have to forgive me if I sound a little bit funny. I'm a bit under the weather, um, but I wanted to show a pin that I got in the mail today, and that pin you can see in front of you is pin BBS, and this is my second pin BBS pin, and I'm actually going to show both of them and include both of them in the review, but I really wanted to show this one first. It comes in this actually one of the nicer Pen BBS boxes that I've ever gotten. There's no information anywhere on the box like you'll see with their normal, just regular black pen coffins. Um, so this one's definitely different. Open it up, it just has a little magnet on the flap, and you just open the box up and it reveals the pen. And I have not really messed with this pen yet. I have not inked it or anything. I literally just got it today. So the first thing is going to be the converter. And there you can see that. Just your regular standard converter. So nothing real special. Set that off to the side. And now we see the pen. And this pen is actually, I think, pretty interesting actually, and I don't know what, I think the finish kind of drew me to it. It just looked different than all the other Pen BBS pens. This one is model 266, and this is the cedar finish, and it literally looks like a piece of wood. Now obviously this is a acrylic type material. Set the box off to the side. I know most of you probably don't care about the box that much. So now we look at the pen. And it's your standard cigar-shaped pen. Nothing really on the barrel necessarily. Finial, of course, is just that just pointed finial. Moving up to the cap, you will see that cap ring with the Pen BBS logo. It's got a P circled right there. Going around it, you'll see the model number 266. And then moving up the cap, you see that standard Pen BBS clip. It's a functional clip, somewhat springy. Top of the finial, you'll see the clip ring here. And again, nothing really on the top. Now, it's really cool when you see that material because it literally has what looks to be wood grain. And this pen definitely has some chatoyancy to it, as you can kind of tell through the camera. And it definitely shows off much better in person. The almost wood grain pieces, I mean, in person it does, if you're looking at it at the naked eye, you would almost think that that is a wooden pen when you glance at it. And to me, it is a very attractive little pen. Get a little bit more of a close-up. Now, taking off the cap reveals that section and, of course, nib. So, obviously, most of you have used Pen BBS pens. Section's about the same like most of these type of models. The section threads aren't really sharp by any means. Section tapers down just slightly and then flares out at the end. You'll see that normal Pen BBS nib, which is really a nice looking nib. It's got the Pen BBS on it since 2005, F for fine, and then China. You'll see the scroll work. And the nib, of course, is bent up a little bit. It's got your standard Pen BBS feed. And really that's about it as far as the nib goes. Now, taking off the barrel reveals another converter. So I thought that was kind of cool when I had looked at this when I first got it, was that it came with the additional converter. It's nice that they put that in there just to be able to have an extra converter. So I like that. I like the fact that I always have extra converters laying around in case I have issues with one of them, or just to have. Now, obviously, you'll notice that this has got the regular, it doesn't have any metal on the barrel or on the section, so you can eyedropper this pin. Now, one thing I did notice, there is, unlike some of the other Penbbs pins, there's no O-ring here. Not a big deal. I mean, just put some silicone grease on there, and obviously you can get you an O-ring. And then you can, if you want to, eyedropper this pin. So that's something obviously that's kind of nice. So for a second, I'm going to set this pin off to the side, zoom out just a little bit. And show the other one. Now this is the Penbbs 323. I've used this pin as a sizing comparison on a few videos. I was messing around with some of the nibs and everything was inked up, so you can see I've got green ink all over my hands. This one I know is really kind of one of the more, this is one of the original ones that I saw whenever I first really started looking at Penbbs, and this green color is beautiful. I know this is a very popular color. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, and if you haven't, get one. Whether you get it in this 323 model, which good luck finding them right now. I know that a lot of them are sold out, or you get it in one of the other models. This green you cannot go wrong with. It is just stunning in person. You notice that it does have some transparency to it. It has beautiful chatoyancy. It is just a gorgeous, gorgeous material. I know some people, I've heard a couple people complain, it doesn't have any clip on it. It's just, I don't want to say frugal or minimalist, but I love the design. For me, my size hands, the pen fits well. I don't mind the fact it doesn't have a clip. I think it's a cool looking pen. Taking off the cap, obviously, I'm not going to go over this entire pen, but taking off the cap reveals that section. You'll notice something different about the nib. I have switched out the nib. I've played with several different types of nibs in this pen, and this was just happened to be one of the nibs that I enjoy, which is a two-tone goulet, a fine nib. I did put a Noodler's nib in here, just to play around with it to see how it would work. Wasn't very successful, but bear in mind, I didn't really do a lot to try and tinker with it to get it to work. I think it could work. Maybe some of you, if you're watching this video, have already put a Noodler's flex nib in here and have made it work. I don't know how well that feed would keep up with it. So that could be obviously an issue when messing with that. This is another pin. If you take the barrel off, again, you can eyedropper this pin. I know several people have probably already done so. So again, nice pin. I enjoy the nib. One of the reasons though why I wanted to show both pins is because I'm going to ink this one up and do a writing sample with both. That way you guys can kind of see the differences between the Penbbs nib and the goulet nib. Obviously they're both size 6 nibs. Goulet nibs are very easy to acquire through goulet pins, and obviously you can get other size 6 nibs such as Jovo and Bach and other places. For a quick sizing comparison for both of these pins, I'm just going to put a Pilot Metropolitan in here because that will give, a lot of people have those and will give you an idea. And as you can tell, the pins are definitely a little bit bigger than the Metropolitan, definitely girthier. This one just a slightly longer, and I would say that the 323 is about the same size, just girthier. I don't have the actual sizes for you as far as it being capped and all of that. To me, I don't care. Does it fit in the hand well? Yes. Pricing. The 323 I got for $16.50, free shipping, so a really good deal on that one. And the 266 I got for $17.50 with free shipping. If you like this one, go buy one, because I guarantee you once they sell out, you're probably going to see them again possibly, but they're going to be more expensive. I know that they're selling them now on Etsy and other online websites, and a lot of those that I've been seeing are more expensive than when I originally looked at these pens. And there's some other colors that I really, really wish I would have bought already, but of course I waited because I had other pen acquisitions that I wanted. All right, guys. I'm going to ink this bad boy up, do a writing sample, and then I'll talk about what I like and what I don't like about these pens at the end, okay? I'll be back in a moment. All right, guys. I am back. And a little bit, I don't want to call it a fountain pen shoot-off in a way, but in a way it is to see the difference between the two nibs. I'm going to go with the Penbbs 266 first and the cedar because it has the original Penbbs nib. So I'm going to do this one first, and then we'll do the 323 with the Goulet nib second. All right. So real quick, again, this is the Penbbs 266 and the cedar finish. And again, this is the fine nib, and this is the I'll just say Penbbs, so that way we know this is the Penbbs nib. All right, so there you see it. Oh, and the ink is Waterman Inspired Blue. It's a newer ink that I got. I want to try out. It was recommended to me. I'm trying to get all of the Waterman inks into my ink collection, and I really like this ink, by the way. It is a very, very attractive ink. I love Waterman Florida Blue. It's definitely a darker color. This one, as you can tell, is a lighter color. As far as wetness, part of our test, yep, pretty wet. And then any line variation is a still nib. You're not going to get a ton, but you can get some if you kind of push it. So to me, it more spits out more ink, but you'll notice some line variation on there. And of course, as far as the pen size, this is not a pen to me that you have to cap. Now, if you're someone that likes to cap your pens, though, this is one that you can cap. And it definitely goes down firmly, no issues. It's not going to fall off. It's not back weighted to me. So it's definitely a pen. If you're someone that likes to, post your pen, definitely can do it, but you don't have to. If you've got normal size hands, not super long, enormous hands, this pen will definitely fit comfortably. It is very lightweight. That's one thing I love about these type of materials for long writing sessions. It's perfect. I love my 323. I will use it as a workhorse writer all the time. All right, so that's it for this one. We'll come back to it in a moment. But right now, we are going to do the 323 with a Goulet fine nib. So again, this is the Penbbs 323. And the color, we're just going to go green. I don't remember the color. I'm sure somebody on here will comment. And again, this is the Goulet Pens fine nib. Now, one thing you'll notice about this nib, it's very wet, and I like. This is I think my 4th Goulet nib that I have, and I've been happy with all of them. They're a little expensive, but I like them, and I like buying stuff off of Goulet as well. All right. There you go. And the ink is the ink that I really, really like. This is Private Reserve. And it is spearmint. So I really like this ink. It's a very, very nice kind of dark green ink. And I'm not a big green ink fan. I do have a diamine green black that I like as well, but this ink I think suits this pen. As far as wetness, you can already tell this is a pretty wet nib. I mean, you can tell the difference. Line variation, I wouldn't call it a nail, but you're not going to get really much. And I'm pressing a little bit harder than I did up here. So, obviously it is a matter of opinion on what, you would prefer. Here's my take on it. I do not, by any means, mind the Penbbs nibs. They write fine. They work well. And this was more of kind of just me experimenting, seeing what other nibs I can play with this pen. I do like the Goulet nib in this pen, though, a lot because it is a very wet writer. It's that fine nib. Of course, it's a Western fine, so I tend to kind of gravitate towards that. But I really like the nib in this pen. This pen, as far as what I like about it, I think it's pretty apparent that I love the material. This acrylic is just stunning and beautiful. There's really nothing that I dislike about this pen. I like the way this pen fits in my hand. As far as for me, this is one of the pens that I have. I love how it kind of concaves right here. It fits perfect in this part of my hand. It's a comfortable writer. It's a light pen. I can use this pen for long writing sessions without any issues. With this nib, it writes great. Never have any hard starts with it. Writes the first time every time. Now, this is not a pen that you can post. It's not mint. So that could, based off of the way it's shaped here, of course, it's not a pen that I think, obviously it's not meant to be posted. So if you're someone that is determined that you have to post your pens, then this might not be the one for you. But I like pretty much everything about this pen. There's nothing I can pinpoint that I dislike, especially when I paid $16.50 for it. I have pens 4 and 5 times that price that I barely write with. Now this one right here, this is an interesting pen. I like the finish. I know some people might say, "Oh, I don't know." It's interesting. It's really cool in person. I definitely think it's just neat. It's different than some of the other Penbbs pens. They're very colorful typically, with all these different types of beautiful materials. You could say this one's more plain, but I think for what it's supposed to be, which is to mimic wood, I think it looks pretty cool. Now, one thing I do not like about it, and I didn't think about this, is you'll notice it stains. And I sit there and I wiped and I wiped. I wet a cloth and was able to get most of this ink off. It had a rim right here where that flare out is of ink that would not come off. I mean, I was scrubbing like crazy. So to me, it's not a deal breaker for me. It doesn't bother me that much, but I could see for some people, especially if you're somebody that has OCD, that could drive you crazy. That is really my only dislike of this pen, if you could call it that. But I really do like this pen. As far as which nib I'd rather use, I'd probably go towards the Goulet nib. Just because I just like the way at least this nib writes in this pen. I will probably leave this nib in this pen and not change it out. And maybe I won't. Who knows? But I would lean towards the Goulet nib. Outside of that, guys, that's all I have. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. My next pen video will be a vintage fountain pen. I have one that I've been saving, that I've been doing a little bit more additional research on. Hopefully by then my voice is better and you guys can understand me better. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.